A very good evening. You are listening to Studio 7 from the Voice of America on Wednesday, June 29th, 2022, and this is Livetalk Diaspora Forum. I'm Jonga Kandemiri.
And I'm Khethiwe in Washington, D.C.
We would like to inform our listeners that because of the coronavirus pandemic, we are not able to give you our usual show, and you will not be able to call in since we are broadcasting from our homes.
Thanks for joining us. You are listening to Studio 7 Live Talk. This evening, we are looking at the issue of the Zimbabwe exemption permits that are expected to be terminated by the South African government by the end of this year. The government gave special permit holders a year to regularize their stay by 31 December 2022 or leave South Africa.
Some organizations in South Africa, including the Hellen Suzaman Foundation, have launched legal action challenging the decision of the Minister of Home Affairs to terminate the Zimbabwean exemption permit. They argue that this special dispensation regime has offered legal protection to approximately 178,000 Zimbabweans, allowing them to live, work, and study in South Africa. It has prevailed for well over a decade, meaning that permit holders have built lives, families, and careers there and contributed to South Africa and its economy.
South Africa's government is defending its plan to end the special permits, saying only a small percentage of Zimbabweans have applied to regularize their stay in that country. Writing on his Twitter account, Khethiwe Bhebhe, head of the public diplomacy in the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, yesterday said the so-called Zimbabwe exemption permits, first granted in 2009, were never meant to be permanent. The Department of Home Affairs said so far it has received 2,301 visa applications and 3,014 visa waiver applications from Zimbabweans who must change their status in order to continue accessing services, including banking and education.
Hongo vadiwa vateereri nevatariri, nhasi muchirongwa chedu chatinotarisa zviri kusangana nevana vezimbabwe vari kunze kwenyika chediaspora Livetalk Diaspora Forum. Nhasi tiri kuenderera mberi nehurukuro yatakambobata masvondo maviri adarika yemapepa eZimbabwe Exemption Permits. Mapepa aya magwaro akapiwa vana veZimbabwe kuti vange vachibvumidzwa kushanda nekugara muSouth Africa zviri pamutemo, asi hurumende yeSouth Africa yakazosvika pakupedza kushanda kwemagwaro iwaya gore rapera muna zvita musi wa31 zvita 31 December, yakachizopa vana veZimbabwe vanga vaine magwaro iwayo gore rimwe chete rinove gore rino ra2022 kuti vange vachigadzirisa magwaro avo ekugara muSouth Africa nekushanda. Kukundikana kwavo vodzoserwa kuZimbabwe panopera gore rino. Takaona masangano anosanganisira Hellen Suzaman Foundation ari kuti akutora matanho ekukwikwidza danho reSouth Africa iro rehurumende yeSouth Africa rekuti inge ichipedza kushanda magwaro iwayo eZimbabwe exemption paper, vachitaura kuti vana veZimbabwe vakanga vachishandisa magwaro iwayo vanga vavaka upenyu hwekugara muSouth Africa kusanganisira nemabasa nezvikoro nezvimwe zvakadaro, uye vari kubatsira kunyaya dzeupfumi hweSouth Africa. Saka magwaro iwayo haafaniri kunge achimiswa kushanda. Takaonawo nezuro mumwe wanoshanda muhurumende yeSouth Africa ikoko vari kudepartment International Relations yekudyidzana nedzimwe nyika, vaClayson Monyela, vachinyora padandemutande reTwitter vakati iwaiwa magwaro aya haanga asina kugadzirwa kunzi anga achishanda upenyu hwese, anga angori enguva duku kana temporary, zvichireva kuti vari kuti South Africa iri kuenderera mberi nekudimura upenyu hwemagwaro iwayo, vachitaurawo zvakare kuti hurumende yeSouth Africa yakagadzirira kuzvidhifenda kana kuzvidzivirira kune vese vanenge vachida kuipomera kana kuipa mhosva yekukanzura magwaro iwayo. Tiri kunzwa kuti kusvika pari nhasi vanhu vanokwana kuita zviuru 2,301 chete ndo vaaplya kana kunyorera kuti vange vachiwana mavhisa ekuti vaenderere mberi nekugara muSouth Africa. Koita vanokwana kuita zviuru 3,014 3,014 hanzi ndo vanyorera anonzi visa waiver application vanenge vaine zvikodzero zvakasiyana siyana zvinoita kuti vange vasingazotarisirwa kunge vachinyorera kuti vawane magwaro iwayo. Ndo nyaya tinayo Gibbs.
Kunjalo ke khona ukukhulula ngoJonga ukuthi lamhla ke sikhangela udaba lwama-special permits khona ngale kule South Africa. Siyakwazi ukuthi udaba lolu luyatshisa sibile kumangalisayo. Uhulumende wa South Africa usanda kwethula umbiko othi-ke kulabantu asebedlula 2000 asebe-aplayileyo khathesi ukuthi bathole-ke ama-permits amatsha. Uthi khona khanya ngazani kuyahlupha kulamanye abantu babecabanga ukuthi lokhu babelakho bekuthwele ezandleni ngokuthi bahlale lakho impilo yabo yonke kumbe babe ngama-permanent residents. Kususiba labedlula 3000 asebecela ukuthi benga-aplayi ngoba bayabona ukuthi zimbi indawo bangeke baphumelela. So kuzobuya-ke uClayson Monyela Department ye-Diplomacy ku-International Relations. Khona ngalo uyakhuluma ukuthi khona okwenzakalayo siyakubona kodwa-ke esikusolayo ukuthi songani udaba lolu sokuhanjiswa khashana. UMotsoaledi la utsho njalo yena ophethe uhlangothi lwendaba zekhaya uthi hayi khona ukuthi i-Hellen Suzaman Foundation sihambisa udaba lolu lomthethwandaba ukuthi challenge ukuthi indaba le-South Africa livimba ama-permits lawo kuyahlupha. So ngingachithi isikhathi-ke I think we've got our guests lined up. Go ahead, Joka.
Yes, I think we have Professor Ricky Mukonza, who is at Tshwane University of Technology there. Welcome to our show, Professor Mukonza.
Thank you, Mr. Kandemiri. Thank you, Mr. Dube. Good evening to your viewers.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you. I'm not seeing the names of the other guests anymore, Gibbs. Maybe you can help me then.
Yes, we've got Khethiwe Bhebhe, who is in Botswana, and then we've got Mr. Mbuso Mhlanga, who is also in South Africa. So now I think we can start with Mr. Ricky Mukonza. Tell us about what you are hearing about this issue. It seems as if many Zimbabweans are not applying, and December is by the corner, you know?
I think what is coming out very clearly is that the South African government has taken a position, a very clear position on what must happen to immigrants, particularly from Zimbabwe. They are no longer welcome in South Africa. Of course, what we are hearing is that they are not... They want to move people from one form of permit to the other, or they are trying to, but the underlying the undertones that you find in what is being expressed is that of a government that is tired with Zimbabwean immigrants and want them to go as of yesterday. You can also tell the same from the undiplomatic language of government officials. And, you know, I was looking at what Mr. Monyela's Twitter is saying, and I was saying, look, this is a person who is the head of diplomacy and should have known better how to coin whatever you say concerning either citizens of another country or to say about another country. Now, there is nothing diplomatic about how he has expressed himself. And that tells you that the South African government has taken a clear position and they no longer want Zimbabwean immigrants in South Africa.
Thank you so much. Let's hear from Mr. Mbuso Mhlanga, who is also in South Africa. Mr. Mhlanga.
Good evening once again, Gibbs, and good evening to Mr.
Kandemiri, yes.
And good evening to the rest of the people there. Right. I heard what the prof says there about the government of South Africa and so forth. Yes, it is very true. Mainly Zimbabweans are unwelcome now in South Africa. We can say it's the government, but everybody else in South Africa doesn't want Zimbabweans anymore. Because even those with other permits, like professional permits and so forth, they are now saying, as long as you are a Zimbabwean, you are no longer welcome. Whether you got permanent residence or professionals permits or whatever, to them, it's now like everyone who belongs to Zimbabwe must go. I haven't seen the Twitter that the Prof is talking about, but the bottom line is Zimbabweans are no longer required. Welcome in South Africa. Those who are applying are just applying, yes, but no one knows if ever South Africa is going to give them those visas, or it's just a ploy to say they applied and they couldn't qualify to any of the new visa regimes and so forth. So those who haven't applied, maybe they've told themselves that they would rather stay without anything, just like it has been happening in the previous times. Then I just want to touch on the statistics about the foreign employees as a whole in South Africa. Foreigners, not in particular Zimbabweans, but foreigners in general, they are only 4.3% of the workforce in South Africa, or the employment that is there in South Africa right now. So this narrative that Zimbabweans are taking people's jobs or they are taking people's business, it really has got nothing absolutely to do with that, because that percentage is very, very little that someone cannot say this percentage is too much. Fine. The thing is, the economy right now in South Africa is going down. And I was also looking at an article in the net. One of these economic analysts was saying the research in South Africa is still going to go down in terms of economy. It won't be able to avoid a further recession just because of what is happening. There is a whole lot of laws in South Africa that govern labor. That is like this PEE, whatever it is. It doesn't really go well with other people, especially the whites. They feel they are sort of secluded in many of those opportunities. Then there is also other laws that are coming in right now, especially in terms of if you want to come and invest in South Africa as a foreigner, what must happen. And on the other hand, those same investors, or let me say potential investors, they are looking at the political situation in South Africa, which at the present moment is more to an unstable one. And they are also looking at this foreign resentment by the South Africans themselves, and they don't know if their businesses would really be safe if they were to come here. I remember also one day watching this other video where some investors were in a meeting, and one said clearly that no investor who is in his sober minds can come and put money in South Africa when these laws are more draconic than anything else. So it's a pity Zimbabweans have just been the scapegoats for all the shenanigans that are happening in South Africa. Zimbabweans are going to suffer for not their sins, but other people's sins within the Republic of South Africa. It's so unfortunate. All of us, as we are, I'm not using a ZEP permit, but we are very unsafe, and they are saying all of us must go. And it's time that we prepare to go back home and possibly face our own government and sort out things.
Yes, thank you very much. Baba Mhlanga, siyabonga ubambe khonapho. Singumama ke Khethiwe Bhebhe. Maphephe kunjani ma?
Ngiyaphila baba Thobeli njani?
Siyaphila kakhulu. Siyabona sibili ukuthi eSouth Africa kungani sokuzalela ingwe khona ngale. kube sokuzalele ingwe vele. Wena ngombono wakho ubona kuya ngaphi konke lokho?
Ya Baba Dube, kunzima kakhulu. It's actually very sad. Kunzima because into nje engingayitsho is that neither us nor the South African government or Zimbabwean government foresaw this thing coming. And ungathi uyakunanzelela ngendlela engibona ngakhona i-South African government on its own ile pressure from its citizens, from the politicians, from the economical and political situations there. So bale pressure nje, and njengabo bonke abantu abale pressure, obviously kuzobafaka ekhoneni okokuthi bazosala bengasela choice but to choose their own citizens first. Number one. Okwesibili, I think we have got a government thina engavumiyo ukuthi ngempela abantu abethu baludingo usizo lwe next door. Uyanthola ukuthi ngitsho njani? Our own government layo, I'm sorry to say, but ngike ngabona umongameli wethu elapha eBotswana sometimes nje, but nxa ngangimuzwa egotshisile lapha lo munye wakhe, he was giving impression yokuthi everything is well there, amaZimbabwe alapha siyazenzisa asila nkinga ekhaya. So I think that alone also sends a wrong message. Baba Dube, if you have got a situation endlini yakho, umntanakho next door, acknowledge the truth to your neighbor ukuthi umntanakho uyaludinga usizo. So khonokho lakho kwenza government to government level sibe sesingani nje thina singumhlambikazi lusile siyazenzisa asilazi inkinga. Akula muntu nje osimeleyo singalabana abantu bokuthi siyazibonela. So khonokho lakho I think i-government yethu layo ilesabelo ekuthini nje uthole singasaphathwa kuhle kwezinye indawo. And la khonokho okunye engubonayo okwamaphemithi so lokhana i-pressure, but the eventuality part of it ukuthi vele ama-conditions lama-terms abafakayo ukuthi umove from one type of permit to another, 95% of it impractical. So I think nje while abantu bakithi besasekhona ngapho, the focus should be going back home and face our own government, because vele lokho okwamanye amazwe is just a temporal situation. Long term cannot be next door.
I think, Jonga, you can hear very clearly. She is saying, you know, at the end of the day, people must go home and solve their own problems.
Yes, that very thing is the same question that I wanted to ask our guests, and I think she read my mind, because I wanted to ask that is this not a silent move by South Africans to Zimbabweans to go back home and sort your house in order? Professor Mukonza, ndipindure ino rimi rwamai mozopindura nechirungu.
Hongu maitiro ehurumende yeSouth Africa anoratidza kuti vanenge vari kumira nerekuti vana veZimbabwe ngavadzokere kumusha kwavo vanogadzirisa nyika yavo. Tikada kutarisa nguva yazvaitika inguva yekuti gore rinouya tichange tine sarudzo kuZimbabwe. Saka chinogona kunge chisiri kutaurwa nehurumende yeSouth Africa ndechekuti vari kuti aiwa takakuchengetai nguva yareba, saka chidzokerai kumusha munogadzirisa musha wenyu. Asi vamwe vemuZimbabwe vanochemawo vachiti onaika South Africa payakanga ine mukana wekuti ibatsire pakugadziriswa kwezvinhu muZimbabwe yakaita madzanambwanana, haina kunyasomira nechokwadi. Ndopaya panotaurwa nevamwe kuti onai vaMbeki pavakanga vachiri mutungamiri vakati vakambotaura kuti aiwa hamuna dambudziko muZimbabwe, there is no crisis in Zimbabwe, vachishandisa yavo yavaiti quite diplomacy, vasingangobudi pachena kuti vachiudza pasi rese kuti aiwa zvina kumira zvakanaka muZimbabwe, ende vachiudza vamwe vatungamiri vanga varipo panguva iyoyo muZimbabwe kuti aiwa gadzirisai nyika, itai sarudzo dzakachena, akunda. Nekuti saka ndo zvimwe zvinochemawo zvichiita vana veZimbabwe kuti aiwa kaSouth Africa haigone kuita sekuti iyo haine nechekuita nematambudziko ari muZimbabwe nekuti ine zvakawanda.
Okay, before you go to the English side or translation, if you see your neighbors fighting, the wife and husband, and your neighbor is beating up his wife, and then you help to avoid further damage and injury to the wife, and the neighbor may turn against you, Professor Mukonza, and say, you did this because you are in love with my wife. Is it not the same thing that South Africans wanted to avoid? Like what President Mbeki did. He didn't want to take sides.
It may be so. It may zvingangodaro. Asi chatinoziva ndechekuti President Mbeki angari mutungamiri weAfrican National Congress, vanotonga kuZimbabwe ndeveZANU-PF. Aya mapato maviri ndo akarwira kuzvitonga kwenyika mbiri idzi. Saka vane ukama hunobva kure. Ndinofunga kuti ndicho chikonzero chakaita kuti vaMbeki vasabude pachena kunyatsotaura chokwadi chaiitika. Hongu vangange vaizotya kuti pamberi apo vaigona kuzonzi aiwa ndimi muri kukonzeresa, ndimi muri kukanganisa. Asi ndinofunga kuti ukama hwekumashure, nekuti tinonzwa kuti pane zvakaitiranwa kumashure ikoko vaMbeki vanonzi vakambogara kuZimbabwe vachiita semwana waMugabe. Saka ndo zvimwe zvaikonzera. Saka vana veZimbabwe dzimwe nguva vanozotiwo onaika imi muSouth Africa hamuna kunyanya kuchena panyaya iyi nekuti mune chekuitawo pakuwedzeredza kuti dambudziko rirambe richikura.
Thank you so much. Gibbs.
Yes, so let's turn to Mr. Mbuso Mhlanga to get some other issues from him. I think maybe he got cut off somehow. I think he'll be rejoining the show very shortly. But before going to Ms. Bhebhe, maybe Professor Mukonza, let's look at challenges that are being faced by these people who are facing a possibility of being deported. And if you are deported, which means you cannot just return to South Africa willy-nilly. And here we're talking about 270-something thousand people. So at the end of the day, what's the fate of these people?
Mr. Due, let me tell you what I think will happen. What I think will happen is Zimbabweans are just going to live in South Africa illegally. A majority of those people that had these permits. That's what's likely to happen, because it's difficult for people to be pushed to where they don't want to go. Some Zimbabweans that I've communicated with say, look, we came to South Africa on our own, out of our own volition, and we can't be forced to go back. What will happen what is likely to happen is that, yes, people will be taken back to Zimbabwe, but as they have always done, they will come back using the other means, and they will live in South Africa underground without any identification, recognized identification documents in South Africa. And I think that will pose an even bigger security risk to South Africa, because number one, they would not know who, they would have in their midst a number of people who cannot be identified. If crime is to be committed, they wouldn't have any trace to such people. But if I may answer you to the direction in which you asked your question, it's a difficult situation that these Zimbabweans who face deportation are really facing, because look, like the Hellen Suzaman Foundation said, if a person has lived in a place for around 10 years or more, they would have built a life. And probably their life in Zimbabwe may not would have been in some way destroyed, or may not be as good as what they would be having, because their efforts was being put here in South Africa. Now, imagine just taking that person from where they are and taking them to Zimbabwe. They are going to start afresh. And it's not going to affect just one person. It's going to affect even the children. It's going to affect so many people in the value chain. And also the issue that you have brought in, where it will become difficult for them to move, whether they want to come back to South Africa, they are likely to face challenges. So I think it's a really difficult situation that Zimbabweans who are facing this situation are facing.
Thank you very much. Maybe Jonga, you can go to Mr. Mbuso Mhlanga.
Yes, Mr. Mhlanga, I asked Professor Mukonza that is this not a secret or silent way of saying Zimbabweans go back home and sort your things first, go and sort your country in order? Mr. Bhebhe confirmed to that before I even asked the question. But what's your take on that?
Yes, I would also say that South Africa is now sick and tired of what's happening across the border, and especially the influx of the people from Zimbabwe into South Africa, some coming without proper documentation and so forth. We can blame South Africa, but for sure, if also we are reasonable, we shouldn't blame South Africa for that. They have got their own people to look after. Now they have to be looking after all the Zimbabweans who are running away from the plight of their lives in Zimbabwe. And the government of Zimbabwe, the Western, while this is happening, is quiet. So you can actually see that let me not really, or let me be blunt and say they don't care what happens to its people. They are not even saying, okay, South Africa, let's sit down, let's discuss about our people that side. Then they find a common ground where they can all stand. Maybe say those who have got such skills, can they be allowed to remain there? Or those who are doing this and that, can they remain? No, but right now it's just a blanket cover. Zimbabweans must go back and sort out their country. And it's very true. If all of us, including you guys in America, UK, wherever you are, if all of us were to go back to Zimbabwe today and sort out our problems, I am pretty sure Zimbabwe will be very, very way ahead of what it is right now. Imagine all the professionals, engineers, doctors, professors who are all over the world doing, or let me say, giving value to those countries, but not giving value to their own countries of birth. It's not something that really is nice. But if all of us, we can also see it that way, that maybe this is a way that we should go back to our country, solve our own problems, go back to our normal lives. Every Zimbabwean, I'm sure, if Zimbabwe were to be okay today, they would love to be back in that country. I love my country. I love Zimbabwe. It's a country where you can walk without thinking that maybe some other people are hunting for you or are hunting you, So they are trying to tell us that go back to your country, solve your problems, not to run away from them. South Africans stand up for the problems that are happening in their country. Right now, South Africans are up in arms against the ANC, this so-called liberation movement, that come 2024 want to remove them because they are not doing what they promised people. And why can Zimbabweans do the same thing? And the biggest problem is this so-called liberation movement. It's time they should also pack their bags and go. not because they are not doing right or they are doing bad, but they have to accept new ideas from different people. When they went to war, all the people who remained, I was already a grown-up person, all the people who remained in Zimbabwe, who did not go out, they were also at war. We suffered against in the hands of the Smith regime. We suffered in the hands of the same so-called freedom fighters. So, and this is not what they were telling people, that once we go in, it will be us, nobody else must check. So, all of us now, is our time to say, guys, we have had enough of you. You have done up to this far. Thank you very much. Let other people take over. So let's go back home, guys, and sort out our own country, if it means so.
Yes, siyakuzwa baba Mhlanga, kodwa ke singazi ukuthi Mabhebhe ubona ngani kuloko elikhulumayo abantu bazawuthi ama-Zimbabweans are very much educated. There are people who take things in strides, but at the end of the day, are they cowards? Bangamagwala yini abantu beZimbabwe?
Baba Dube, I wouldn't say abantu beZimbabwe bangamagwala. But iZimbabwe yona ngokwayo nje since ithatha independence ngibona ingani lama leaders eSADC why they are just going in circles kulokuthi bayitshele nje ukuthi no, you guys, you are abusing people. I think ibakhangela ukuthi ivele yona injani. Abantu beZimbabwe ayisikho ukuthi, I wouldn't say ukuthi bangamagwala, but i-situation yeZimbabwe is either you swim or sink. So ungathi uyananzelela ngizakhuluma kakhulu emathebhelele ndingapha kithi, I will just khonapho nje mbijana. Ungathi uyananzelela vele ngale i-population yabantu almost more than 40,000 people ababulawayo. Thina ama-survivors angikhona yithi mnanzelwe ngo-84 and ngiyi-breadwinner khathesi angikaze ngibe le payslip eZimbabwe as much as I'm a professional geologist, you see. So isikhathi esiningi ngizathi ngicabanga ukuthi I just have to fend for my little ones. Abadala abakho because of the government already. So khonokana, it puts me in a position yokuthi ubususi ba careful nje ukuthi impi yakho uyilwa njani, but I wouldn't say ukuthi amaZimbabwe angamagwala.
Yeah, kodwa ke sokumele kuqaliswe mbani ukuthi hey asameni selungise ekhaya la. Ngoba lo munye usalungisa kwakhe nxa ukuthi nginje engxenye yahola okuyimadlana okuthize. Bese ngaya ukuthi ngeke ukhola ibond ngale yahlupha lokuthi ngifike khona ngale ngxenye ngibotshwe kumbe kube njani mfaka imbila zikakhona. Kuyahlupha konke khona. So kulungiswa njani khona?
Yeah, I think lokho khona ngokwakho nxa kungathiwa sikuplan ukuthi asambeni sivele asoze sikuplane, but situations where we are will eventually force us. Njengakhathesi abafowethu abase-South Africa, the situation is already pushing them. It will come at a point where no country will accommodate us. I think we are already approaching those levels because khonapha engikhona mina vele any advert ephumayo uzothola ukuthi 98.5 kumele kube ngama-citizens. It's a diplomatic way to say, you guys, can you go? Although they are not saying it. So, and all these countries, remember, they are also having their eyes ku issue ya South Africa. Uzothola ukuthi once South Africa iphumelela ukusunduza amaZimbabwe lapho sivele sizoxoxwa sonke. So the eventuality part yiyo ezasenza ukuthi sisukume in arms. Uyakwazi sometimes umangoye ungamvalela ekhoneni umfake ekhoneni kuzomela vele akudlephe ukuze aphume. So it will reach vele to a point whereby all of us will be stuck there in Zimbabwe, and I think ngaleso sikhathi we will either sink or swim.
Yes, yakuzwa kakhulu ke silo baba usanda usijoyina kuna manje kanameli ubaba ke ngitrust Ncube. Baba Ncube sawamukela ukuhlela kunjani baba?
Ngiyaphila kanjani baba?
Siyaphila mfowethu ungaphi khona?
Azwanga baba.
Ungaphi komhlaba?
NgiseThekwini.
Akusitshele lapha ngento zama special permits. Nawo le special permit kungume njani?
Hayi cha anginayo mina kodwa nje ngifuna ukuzwelana nje nalabo bafowethu abasebenzisa wona amaphilisi.
Qhubeka khona.
Yebo komthetho lento ngoba kunje bakule nkinga ekhona kwindaba yani ya uhulumende wala South Africa. So bekungekho isidingo sokuthi kuthiwa abantu bazothiwa isikhathi esingaka ukuthi behambe ngoba sonke into zenzakala ngale South Africa yona ebihamba phambili ekuncindezeleni abantu laba ababeyagenisa uhulumende lobusayo. So bekwazi bona ukuthi bamvule uhulumende ngisho ngabe senza izinto ezimbi senza ingakho nje begcwele abantu khona la kuleli lizwe labo ngoba nje bona bebezisala ngale ukuthi izinto zilunge befuna zihambe lapho. So manje asikho isidingo sokuthi egcineni kube yibona futhi abathi hayi abantu abangenamaphepha abantu abakanje babuyele emakhaya because vele kuzoba nzima into ezenzile. So angiboni isidingo sokuthi kuthiwe kunomuntu ozobuyela ekhaya. Kunalokho kufanele bawavuselele ama-permits alaba bantu bekwazi ukuqhubeka beyisebenzele la benze impilo ngempilo. Thile beze bekwazi ukuba nezwi abazobisho bethele lokhu kumele kusayo ukuthi hayi madoda sesikhathele ngabentubeni zabantu litshintshe lapha nalapha ukwenzela ukuthi isimo sibe njani, isimo sihambe ngendlela efanele. Kodwa mase kulesi simo sikusona angiboni izosebenza leyo nto, angiboni izosebenza because kuyimanje nje lesibona i-Hellen Suzaman Foundation baya-challenge leyo nto zama-permits. Bahambisana nawo abantu abaphethe ama-ZEP abafowethu ukuthi no, you can't go anywhere till i-situation izilunge ngale because uma ubakhoshi baxoshe lapha abantu lapho ukwazi khona ukuthi kuhamba kanjani ngoba bathule bayabona ukuthi kwenzakalani. So they have to sort out first bona babatshele emakhelwane babo ukuthi hayi madoda sinenkinga nabantu beni kanje then i-situation izolunga. But the way okungakhona it's just like a water under the bridge. Angiboni khona into ezolunga. So angisiboni nesidingo sokubuyela ekhaya for what? For brutality, for oppression, for yonke leyo nto. So cabanga ukuthi nje they must try ukuthi ibe nendlela okwenziwa ngayo beside le ukuthi kuthiwa hayi abaphindele emakhaya. Ngibeka lapho.
Yes, all what Trust is saying here, Jonga, is that the situation is bad, really. You know, he says the Suzaman Foundation is trying something, but nobody knows what is going to be the outcome of that. And he says going back home is not an alternative. He says, you know, this thing should be sorted out amicably and that kind of thing. So go ahead, Jonga.
Yes, let me read some comments gives from our listeners here.
Yes.
We have Sebastian Mudakwa, who said he's watching from Bedford in Johannesburg. Thank you so much. Mobi Hanyani Machaiwa, Hida Lois, that's what she just wrote. I don't know that. And Tanaka Muchewa. Hai, atingapikisana nevanhu vane nyika yavo, asi chikuru ndechekuti dai hurumende yeSouth Africa yabatsira kugadzirisa matambudziko akatarisana neZimbabwe, kuitwe sarudzo dzakachena munyika uye zvizvarwa zveZimbabwe zvikwanise kuvhota zviri kunze kwenyika. Manzwa mashoko ayo Professor Mukonza ataurwa naTanaka Muchewa, munotiwo?
Mashoko akanaka chaizvo ataurwa nemuteereri wechirongwa. Nekuti South Africa yakangogona kungomira pachokwadi ikazama kubatsiridza kuti zvinhu zvekuZimbabwe zvinake. Ndinofunga kuti havatombodi kuita zvekudzingirira vanhu vanodzokera kumusha vega. Ndo parinoda kuti pazivikanwe nehurumende yeSouth Africa ipapo kuti vanhu vari kurega kudzokera kuZimbabwe nekuda kwekuti zvinhu zvakaoma. Pane vamwe vari kuti vanhu vekuZimbabwe magwara. Ina handifungi kudaro. Chandinofunga ndechekuti hurumende yekuZimbabwe ihurumende inoshandisa chisimba. Naizvozvo vanhu vanogumisira vangozoti aiwa regai tivasiye vakadaro ava vanoita zvekushandisa chisimba. Ndingatore mufananidzo wezvakaitika sarudzo dza2018 muna August paya takaona vanhu vachipfurwa. Hapana chakaitika. Muna January wegore rakateera racho takaona futi vanhu vachipfurwa, hapana chakamboitika. Kwakangosetwa commission yaitungamirirwa navamushandi asi hachakabuda chaicho hapana. Saka vanhu vanogumisira vangozotiza sekutiza kwavakaita vachiuya kuno kuSouth Africa vamwe vachienda kune dzimwe nyika. Saka handifungi kuti vanhu vemuZimbabwe vanhu vane uchenjeri hwekuona kuti ava vanhu vatiri kurwa navo vanhu vane utsinye hwekuti vanogona kungouraya vachingoenda ende vedzimwe nyika vasina zvavanoita kupindira kuti aiwa musaita zvekudaro. Saka ndo maonero andinoita vaakandemi.
Then pane mumwe munyori nyora pano apa hanzi guys, why are you so obsessed nenyaya dzeSouth Africa, dzezvizvarwa zvekusouth Africa? Amene kuti mune mhinduro here? Uyo so concerned about South Africa. Anonzi Chewoko Rikotso. He says, guys, why are you so concerned about South Africa?
It's not so much that we are concerned about South Africa. It's simply that, you know, there is a situation that has arisen. South Africa initially welcomed Zimbabweans, gave them those special permits, and allowed Zimbabweans to live because of the conditions that were obtaining in Zimbabwe. Now, the argument that is there, why people are talking about South Africa and South African government, is because people are saying, but the situation in Zimbabwe has not fundamentally changed or improved. So the question is, why is South Africa taking such a drastic measure without necessarily, you know, taking into account the situation that these people that they are saying they must go back home are facing or are likely to face if they were to go home? I think the Hellen Suzaman Foundation put it in a very clear and lucid way to say, look, when a person lives in a place for a long period, as much as 10 years, that person builds a life in that place. Now, to simply say to a person, please leave, we are giving you a year, I don't think there is empathy in taking such a decision. And given that we are Africans, then there's Ubuntu. I'm not too sure whether that's the right approach for the South African government to take.
Thank you.
And Professor Mukonza, we always talk about Ubuntu and all these kind of things. But here we are talking about the politics of South Africa, the core of what is happening right now. And we are looking at a party which is likely to lose the next elections because of immigration issues. So at the end of the day, are there any possibilities that the ANC government may have some kind of change of mind? Is there any of that kind of sort of thing?
You are very right, Mr. Dube, in reading the politics that is causing the South African government to take the position it has taken. For me, I think I've said it in previous programs that this is purely a political move that is influenced by the political dangers that the African National Congress is facing. And given the pressure that the South African government is facing, and given what their competitors such as the Action SA are saying and doing, I don't foresee the South African government changing its position. I think what should tell us that there's not likely to be a change of heart from the South African government is the language that you see high-ranking government officials using. We heard what the Minister of Home Affairs said, responding to the statement by the Hellen Suzaman Foundation. We were also discussing earlier on about the language that the head of diplomacy in the Department of International Relations, the language that he used, it tells you that there's not likely to be a change of heart on this particular matter. And we should read into this. I think the president is looking at the December conference. The president is looking at the elections in 2024. Whether this will help or not, I think it remains to be seen. But I think this is what informs the the current actions that we are seeing the South African government taking.
Yes, Baba Mhlanga, khonapho-ke I think singangena khonokho ungathi Mhlanga.
Yeah, kunombuzo owawubuza udade laphana Gibbs ukuthi is it that amaZimbabwean magwala or what? Mina personal Gibbs, I would say, okay, what Zimbabweans are educated and so forth, so on. I think this is the biggest problem that is caused abantu to fight Zimbabweans. They call themselves educated. Everyone is calling themselves educated as if abanye abafundanga. Konokana vele wrong. Then secondly, ukuthi Zimbabweans cowards. Mina ngithi Zimbabweans are the biggest cowards. They are educated as they claim, but they are cowards. You know, umntwana Gibbs ma ehlala esona ukuthi ungakhipha uswazi uthi ngizaku abeseyeka. This is exactly the situation with the Zimbabwean government, where they realized ukuthi the moment we start putting a riot in public, namasoch, Zimbabweans will run away. Kanti, where can we see Zimbabweans behaving like in other countries, where they throw stones at the police? Where they, for example, there was this other rally triple C ngayibona eMarondera. The stadium was fully packed with abantu be triple C, but they ran away from a riot. Police yabuya nge-one truck. Why can't Zimbabweans stand their ground? Fight for what is theirs.
Normally, VOA promotes, it doesn't promote violence. I mean, at the end of the day, most media organizations, they promote democracy, like, can't you do some democratic way of doing
it? Sometimes democracy is ill-described or is described in ngendlela engasiyo or perceived in a wrong way, whereby people think democracy is that sesizibusa singabantu abamnyama kune-democracy. Democracy, like, I don't know mina ukuthi khona in vele Zimbabwe or it ever existed, because people are not free to talk. Right now, where I am, I cannot talk like this if I'm in Zimbabwe. Professor Enjalo cannot speak like that as a Zimbabwe. We are talking like this maybe because we're outside Zimbabwe. But why can't we express ourselves, Sister Zimbabwe, like we are expressing our dissatisfaction with our own government? So, meaning it's cowardice. We can't stand up to the truth. Ma siselizweni lethu sifuna ukuzorasa sisemazweni abanye abantu, and khonokana yiko okunye okusekuze kusizondisa emazweni esikuwo ukuthi you guys, you come here and make noise. You can even tell our own president ukuthi he's stupid, our president doesn't know anything, but you can't say the same to your own president. You understand? So these are the things that we must safeguard ourselves. We are good at ukukhuluma kubi sisemazweni, but we cannot say the same or say some things about our own government. Because if there is democracy, people must be allowed to speak their minds. There must be that freedom of speech. There must, as long as that freedom of speech doesn't infringe on other person's rights, but ukhuluma iqiniso into ebona umuntu wonke, then it will be freedom, it will be democracy. But we cannot do that. You cannot go and express yourself in Zimbabwe in fully. Whereas Silane, South Africa, we are able to tell their own presidents, their own ministers, sikhuluma all the nonsense. But at the end of the day, we cannot even say the same to our own ministers back home who are not doing right. So that's why we are cowards. Yiko sibaleka ngizwe lo bhuti omunye othe useNatal le ethi yena angeke abuyele as long as isimo sinjana kumele silungiswe. Who is supposed to sort out isimo saseZimbabwe? It's supposed to be us Zimbabweans. But if we say ukuthi kumele kusothwe le nkwana ngizobuyela ekhaya, who is going to sort out that situation in Zimbabwe when we are hiding up emazweni? So, gentlemen, we need to be realistic. Bona, who are in power, they managed to go out of Rhodesia, I'll say it when it was still Rhodesia. They managed to go there, and by then, well, they had the access to arms. Right now, as long as you are in the SADC region, you cannot access arms. Uzobosh, South Africa, government, Uzobosh, it will be the same thing. And I'm not saying we must do that, but they managed to go out there. They managed to say what they wanted to say. But right now, we cannot say the same, Tina, to them. Therefore, we are cowards.
So you've got one guy, Kutsi Wesley, who is supporting you. He says, indeed, Jonga, Zimbabwe are cowards. Go ahead, Jonga.
Yes, and there is Chafuka Obet who says, ko nai vanawe mukoma Jonga, ko sei sadiki isina kana chekutaura panyaya dzemuZimbabwe. Vari kupiwa choko muhomwe here vatungamiri ava. Then Mobi Anyani Machawira. God is in charge here. This is beyond us. This is like the children of Israel at Red Sea. How were they going to cross? Wait on the Lord, guys. God is in control. There's a road for us through the Red Sea. Those are some of the comments from our listeners. Gibbs.
Yes, Professor Mukonza. Maybe I think Mr. Mhlanga wants to say something. 10 seconds.
Yeah, I wanted to say something there. Why the SADC as a region, as an organization, does not say anything with what is happening? Right. We used to have former president Botswana. He's the only one who could stand up and talk the truth about what was happening in Zimbabwe. These other guys are not going to say anything because they are benefiting out of this situation that is in Zimbabwe right now. Some of them, they are the ones who are busy looting the minerals in Zimbabwe there. And they will never say anything. If they say something, so that's the reason people are not saying anything in the SADC here.
Yes, Professor Mukonza, maybe let's talk about the SADC region. We tried to invite some ZANU-PF activists to join the show, but they didn't join today. I think maybe they'll join later, but we're about to end the show. So the SADC region is a very sensitive area in terms of, doing whatever you want to do as a government. So can SADC intervene here and do something about these permits and all these kind of things?
I don't think SADC will intervene on this particular matter because issues about how a country manages its immigration or how a country manages immigration issues are for the concerned country. So the sovereign nation is the one that he has the right to deal with that particular issue. But I want to agree with the observation by others that SADC, as others have already said previously, that it's a toothless bulldog. The same with the African Union. We have seen Zimbabwe getting to situations that are much worse than what it is in terms of human rights, in terms of deterioration of livelihoods, the economy, and so forth. But nothing comes out of those bodies. And I think many Zimbabweans have lost hope on those bodies. I mean, there is nothing, even if there's going to be a SADC meeting, there is nothing that gives you this expectation that probably they are going to deal candidly with the Zimbabwean issue. They are going to, look at least on the side of the citizens in Zimbabwe. So SADC and AU, I personally do not have confidence in them being able to deal with the Zimbabwean issue. It's now over 20 years, the crisis going on, and there's nothing really tangible that these bodies have done.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, stronger.
Yes, Gibbs, there is Takunda Victor Matsokotere, who says Zimbabweans tiri magwara kungona mapurisa 2 isu tiri 20 takutotiza. If you still have this mindset, ticharamba takadzvanyirirwa nechihurumende, let's rise up and stand our ground. He's saying that Zimbabweans, we are cowards. Just seeing 2 police officers say we are a group of 20, we start running away. So we are cowards.
Mr. Mhlanga, I see you nodding.
Yeah, like I said, that we are actually cowards. We have to submit ourselves to the truth that we are cowards. We cannot stand up against the wrongs that we see. Unfortunately, like the Prof said, South Africa as a sovereign state cannot, its affairs, especially the immigration affairs, cannot be a subject of discussion by a regional thing. But if South Africa as a country, the SADC as a regional body, the AU as a continental body could say the truth about the elections that happen in Zimbabwe, then we will be in a better position. Right now, we are suffering, people are quiet. And we may think it's only Zimbabweans, but there is a whole lot of people in the continent, there are different countries who are suffering. And the so-called AU is quiet. And our SADC, this side of the Southern Africa, it's just quiet. They don't know what they are even doing when they meet there. I don't even know whether it's existing or what. Right now, if you look at what is happening in Mozambique there, where we have these terrorists coming in there to destabilize Mozambique, it's a few of the countries that have stood up and said would fight against those people. But now when we really look at issues like these same countries that we say we are a regional body, are we sticking to the principles? Are we sticking to the mandate? Are we sticking to the purpose of this organization? No, they are just quiet. They are watching. We are suffering and we shall suffer until no more. We will end up being slaves again in Europe. Because we will be all trying to go to Europe, running away from our own countries, and will be enslaved. So Africa needs to be recolonized, possible. Then things maybe will be better. I saw last week there was this talk that Ian Douglas Smith was a better person than what is currently there, and our president in Zimbabwe said, "No ways, Smith was not better." But I grew up. I was born and grew up during the Smith regime time. I would say it was better. Myself, I would say, I'm not talking for everybody, but I'm saying I personally feel it was better than now, that we have 99.9% unemployment in a country. When we finished the schools in that time of the early 80s, you would straight away go and look for employment and get it, which was left by the Smith regime. The roads were easily navigable. If it falls road, you would go at whatever time, at whatever speed.
Yes,
but right now, I can't even drive home at night because I'm afraid of the potholes. I'm afraid of even the animals that are now straying into the roads. I think I need to be a politician as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mhlanga. I wish to thank Mr. Mbuso Mhlanga, who is a security analyst, Ms. Khethiwe Bhebhe, a political activist, and Professor Mukonza, and independent political commentator based in South Africa. And signing off from Washington, D.C., this is Gibbs Dube saying, good night, Zimbabwe.
And I'm Jonga Kandemiri.
Good night.